and gentlemen, it is the Six Figure Entertainer podcast, and just like every other episode, I don't want to mess up this gentleman's last name. That's right. Gary, this is how we start out. I know that your name's easy, but I've had some real weird ones. So how do you actually say your last name?
Gary Michaels.
Okay, that works. And we're going to get right into it. Six Figure Entertainer podcast is all about helping other entertainers.
Sure.
Tell us your story. I want to know about you in the next 2 minutes.
All right. Well, now I am the world's only biker comedy hypnotist. I'm the only guy in that community that does what I do around the world. But I started entertaining when I was very young. I've been in the entertainment world, well, golly, I mean, even remember when I was in school doing plays and we were mock news stations and stuff. I was doing all that kind of stuff through high school. Started my radio career when I was 18. Became a comedian, a magician, also sang in a band, owned a nightclub. Then I'll tell you a funny story. Do some weird stuff, kind of like that. I went through a really, really bad depression. I mean, it was very bad. I was ready to pull the trigger. And a lot of entertainers, we've all been there. We know what it feels like. Well, I had reached my limit, and I wanted to figure out a way to deal with it without having to go to the doctor. Couldn't afford it. I was broke. Hypnosis came up. Now, as a radio personality, I have interviewed many hypnotists. I've never seen a show. I've seen one hypnosis show other than mine in my entire life. But, never really got into it until I started reading it. That's what popped up to help with the depression, help with your mind. And I started watching all these videos and reading, going through all the research and all that kind of stuff. And then a comedy hypnotist popped up and I said, that's what I want to do. So here we are.
So I'm going to go back on that. When COVID hit, I had a full-time hypnosis career for 15 years at that point. When COVID hit, I went through a divorce and I became homeless. I understand your depression that you had. And the only reason I'm here today is because I was able to get through that. And I've rebuilt my business over the last 3 years. And the beauty of what we do is that you can rebuild almost instantly if you know how to do it. And you can
that's very true. It's very true. Now, one of the things about hypnosis, and I don't do it, I've done it a few times, is age regression and how a person can still have all of those memories, all those many years ago, still there. They may not be aware of it, but we have the ability as hypnotists to pull that out of them. I find that to be, wow.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
And those are just stumbling blocks, right? It's just internal programming that people can jump over. I have questions for you because you went into a niche that is very specific. And most hypnotists are afraid to do that, right? They want to work fairs and cruise ships and dildo sales and all the rest of it, right? They want to do a whole bunch of other shit. Sorry for swearing, everybody. Deal with it. That happens in every show, Gary, just so you know.
I'm a biker, dude. You think I really give a flying freak what's going to be said?
But my point being is that you found a niche and you're traveling down that path. And I went to your promo, and you don't have the fanciest promo in the world. Neither do I. But the thing about that is it suits who you're working for. You're not looking to work high-class luxury resorts. I'm sure you do sometimes, maybe. But you found a market that is viable for you, where you want to be with people you want to work with, and that's bloody amazing. How did you come up with that?
Well, that's a great question. I've always been in the biker community, and I've always been big in the entertainment community. I've been big in the hunting community. I love to hunt and fish and trap, and I was big in the skydiving community and big in the martial arts community. So I've been, there's a lot of different things that we all have different things that we enjoy. And when I was going through the depression and studying on how to become a hypnotist, there's no bikers. There's one biker that I know of that makes a living in comedy. His name's Russ Nagel, and he's the world's funniest biker. but there were no magicians,
Mm-hmm.
hypnotists that were bikers. So I got to thinking about that. And I don't only just do biker events. Clearly, I do a lot of biker events, Sturgis and the High
Yep.
Seas Rally Cruise and all that kind of stuff. They can be hypnotized just as easily or just as commonly as a college student.
Yep.
They all. They just don't see it. Now, there is a comedy club owner. I did do a few comedy clubs throughout the year too. In Massillon, Ohio. His name's Chris, and he owns a club called Crackpots. And he's an old school comedian. He's worked with the best, the big boys. He came up to me after our first show. He says, Gary, I got to tell you something. He said, I've worked with a lot of hypnotists in my career, but I ain't never seen anybody like you. He said, number one, I don't expect it because of the image, the biker thing, because, that's
Yep.
part of the shtick. That draws them in. That's sort of the hook to kind of draw them in because people are scratching their head. What the fuck's a biker hypnotist? What the hell is that?
Yep.
So that's, you got to catch them, got to get them somewhere. So he said, you're the best I've ever seen. And I'm like, well, Chris, I appreciate that, very much. But why would you say that? I mean, there's no such thing really as a bad hypnotist out there. And he goes, well, you do the, yeah. We'll talk about that off the air, okay? So remember I told you I've only been to one show?
Mhm.
We'll talk about that later. Anyhow, I asked him why he would say something like that. He says, Gary, you do the things that most hypnotists want to do, but people want to see it.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, let me keep this in mind. I'm not vulgar or, get a little dirty and risque, but it's nothing over the edge. It's just certain things. I'll give you an example. When you wake up on the count of three, I'm not wearing any pants.
Okay.
But it's up to you to determine whether or not God took care of me.
Yep.
There you go. That's about as risque as it gets, except towards the end when I tap my forehead like this and everybody has fun on stage. Yeah, I think you're following me on that one.
Yes.
But people, they like seeing, they know it's like, oh my God, that's so wrong. But yet it's so funny.
Okay. But your specific audience, that fits that culture.
It does. But here's the
I
thing, and
couldn't get away with it at like a corporate show, right?
see,
Generally.
that's not necessarily true. Okay. I
Okay.
had a conversation with Anthony Gailey the other day, and I love Anthony,
Yeah.
and he's one of my biggest mentors. Never met the man, but when we talk on the phone, amazing, amazing man. And he told me that I'm 90% there to get, in the corporate world. Because that's a lot of times that's where you can make your fat ass
Yeah.
money is in the corporate world. And I do want to be in the corporate world. But here's the thing. Those people in that building at that corporate event are just people. They
I
like to have fun too. Just because Donald Trump wears a tie doesn't mean he doesn't like to have fun. You
absolutely.
follow me?
Yes.
So I can work with corporate people. What I'm going to give the corporate world when I get to that certain point, and I've done a few corporate events, and they have me back because I make them laugh. I make them forget about all the corporate shit. And let's just get back to reality. And oh my God, I can't believe he said that, but damn, was it so funny? I mean, I love seeing
Mhm.
that, from people. And that's when I do the magic because, magic draws them in and it excites them and it tricks your brain into seeing something that really didn't happen or you thought it didn't happen and it builds an excitement.
Yeah.
And you and I both know that excitement is the best form of magnetic energy going out in this world.
Absolutely.
And I tell people this all the time when I was doing speaking back way before I was a hypnotist. uh, I always tell people if you want to be excited, act excited. You remember that old thing they said years ago? Your parents told you that you are who you hang around. Remember that? That doesn't change as you get older. that's actually more crucial as you get older. If you want to become successful, you want to be successful, hang out with successful people. And even if you're not at their level, people are going to perceive that you are. And they're going to perceive, okay, hey, he's on this. Maybe I should hire him. Or maybe I should talk to him. And next thing you know, you're on the stage, they're handing you a fat check, and you're scratching your head going, how the hell did I just do that so I can do it again? You
Mm-hmm.
know? Uh, but the corporate stuff, I'm not afraid of the corporate people. Harley Davidson is a corporation.
That's right.
Bella's is a corporation.
Yep.
Even the dildo salespeople have corporations.
So there's a reason I said that. 15 years ago, I was contacted by a massive trade show. It was an adult trade show 15 years
Okay.
ago. And my mentor at the time told me not to go down that path because it leads to not getting booked. And that was a crucial mistake. If I was on that trade show now, it goes from coast to coast in Canada. It would probably be $100,000 a year if I had followed that path.
Sure.
So everybody says work clean, work clean, work clean. Yes, work clean, but also work to the audience and don't get your person that hired you fired, right? That's the thing. You don't want to get Susie in HR fired. That was always the big worry. Well, Susie's a freak. Just so everybody knows. Anyway, I'll let you continue. I have other questions.
Yeah, please ask away, man. Just
So-
hey, I'm the easiest guy in the world to get along with. I'm a backwoods Kentucky hillbilly trying to conquer the world one sleep at a time.
I agree. So in the biker market, you're traveling all over the country, right? I'm assuming all over the U.S.
Well, actually, the biker community has taken April and I around the world. I mean, not completely around the world because there's a cruise every year called a High Seas Rally Cruise, which I'm going to be performing on it this year.
Okay.
Comes up in November. It's the best time you'll ever have, man. It's just a bunch of bikers, no dress code, no kids, just like-minded people having a blast. Well, this year we're going to Belize and Honduras, going back to Mexico again this year. Last year we went to the Bahamas. The first time we went to the Grand Caymans and Costa Maya. I mean, that community has taken me different places that I would have never been. But as far as the country goes, yes, I'm doing this year so far. I'm doing Daytona Bike Week, Thunder Beach Bike Week, Kentucky Bike Rally. There's a new rally coming up in Tennessee I'm going to be doing, which is going to be a lot of fun. I'm actually hosting that. I'm going to be emceeing and doing shows, so it's going to be a good time. And then, of course, we're in Sturgis. Then there's a couple of other, smaller biker events throughout the year before we get on the cruise. So the cruise is our highlight. That's what we push for. So, but I just, like I said earlier, I don't want to limit myself to just that community. Now, if somebody says, all right, Gary, we're going to have to keep this show PG. Sure.
Okay.
If, I've got morals and values and children and grandchildren. I understand. I don't want to offend anyone, but I always ask them in the beginning, do you want PG, PG-13, rated R, or Gary Michaels? Which one do you want? And most generally they say, let's try the Gary Michaels one. I'm like, well, strap yourself in and hold on to the bar because this ride's about to get bumpy.
That's awesome. So what other markets does the biker stuff fit into? Like most markets don't have offshoot markets. For instance, you talked about Harley Davidson, but do you fit in well with most farming communities? Does that make any sense at all? Like there is
well, sure. I mean,
a rebel aspect to farming, if that makes sense, and that type of thing. Does that follow through?
Growing up in Kentucky, dude, that's how we survived. We never went to the store when I was growing up. Never. We hunted, we fished, we planted our own garden and crops, and I worked in the tobacco fields. So yeah, I'm all about the farmer community. Love the farmer community, but keep this in mind. People in the farming community, people in politics, huge entertainers, big A-lister names, people in pharmacies, doctors, lawyers, they all ride. We ride. And if you don't ride, that's fine. But there's something about the brotherhood as you know, especially in the entertainment world, you've got to have that brotherhood around you from other entertainers. It keeps you motivated. It keeps you pushing and going to the next level. Well, it's the same thing with the motorcycle community. We have so many friends that are just a truck driver, and I've got Jeff Bodine, who is a NASCAR driver. He's one of my
Mhm.
best friends. He rides. Daryl Worley, country singer. He rides. We all ride. So with the biker thing, not only can I do the biker shows, but the farming community may have a little event going on, and
Yep.
maybe some of those guys are going to ride over there to check it out. I'm all about working with anyone that believes in us. If and when they see the show, that's the hard part. I'll explain what I mean by that in a second. When they see the show, they're going to want you to come back.
Yeah.
Unless you get out there and you get half drunk and you fuck it up. Then it's understandable. Okay.
Okay.
I will tell you, and I think you might agree with this, hypnotist shows is a hard sell. Okay. For
I agree.
However, for me, it's even harder because when they see the information, all they're looking at is biker,
Mhm.
causes a red flag.
Yeah.
Hypnotist, another red flag. What I try to explain to people, don't let that fool you. Don't let the stereotypes take over. Hypnosis is not scary like it is in the movies. And not all bikers are badasses. Some of them are teddy bears. Most of us are.
Most of
Okay.
them are.
Yeah. All right. So, well, I tell them, get to know us as people. And if you enjoy what you see during the show, and then you're going to enjoy even more who April and I, how we come across, because we're just down to earth hillbillies, and we love everybody. And there's something that I do during my shows that a lot of entertainers don't do, whether it be a comedian or a hypnotist or being on stage, with the band, which I was in a band for many, many, many years. I walk, like, let's say we're at a theater
Mhm.
and there's 2,000 people filled up the theater. Okay. I'm not going to be that guy that here comes the intro, here comes Gary out on stage, getting everybody fired up, doing the show. Thank you for coming, out the door.
Mhm.
I'll do that. I can't do it. It's not in my nature. April and I will walk around and speak to every single person that we can. We try to hit them all before the show. And if I didn't get them at the before the show, I'm going to get them after the show.
Mhm.
I'm going to walk up to them, get them laughing, introduce myself. Thanks for coming. Let me show you a magic trick. They're going to go, wow, oh my God, that's so cool. I can't wait to see what you're going to do on stage. So I like doing that because it's the energy from those people is what's given us the energy to perform and be the best that we can be.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of hypnotists, and I'm not going to drop any names, but I've seen a few hypnotist shows online, looking at different styles and all this kind of stuff. It's a show. You are a showman. You need to entertain. That's what
Yes.
you're there for. Okay. So, but you're not necessarily the star of the show, not in a hypnosis show. You're not. But you're making these people do the silly stuff. But it was my imagination that made them do the stupid shit
Yep.
and made you laugh your ass off. Okay. It's still a performance.
Absolutely.
And I tell people this all the time. You want to be a rock star? Act like a rock star. Dress like a rock star. Hang out with rock stars. That's what you want to do. And all of this, every little thing I'm telling you, if you think about it, all of this circles back around to hypnosis.
Absolutely.
Every bit of it. And big people ask me all the time, what is hypnosis? Well, I don't really have a definition for you.
Neither do I.
There's no real definition for what hypnosis is, man, in my
When,
opinion.
when I'm on stage, here's what I tell people. As long as you're following my suggestion, that's all I care about. You're hypnotized. Done.
That's it. Yeah, done. And speaking of this, man, you're gonna love this. I was in Tennessee. Junebug Boogie is a bike rally, And I'm talking an old school bike rally out in the middle of fields of Tennessee. Titties were laying on toes and
Hmm.
tattoos everywhere. I mean, it's one of those bikers, fun as hell. Well, they have a little bar there, and this big old biker dude, he looks at me. Hey, man, are you the hypno guy? Yes, sir. There's no way you can hypnotize me. I won't allow it. There's absolutely no way possible you could put me under. I'm like, really? Come on over here and give it a try. 4 million views later on YouTube of me knocking him out doing stupid shit. He has supported us. He's come to every show when we're in the area. He has become a really good friend. That was cool.
I You're right about. I'll take it back a little bit about the biker thing and the hypnosis thing having a negative connotation.
Mhm.
But I think there's something there that you could actually use in your marketing. My mind just went weird, but
Come on with it.
bringing communities together, or or meet the real people, something like that along those lines, basically saying that you're not just a biker, you're also a hypnotist, but you're also a human being, and we need to work together. um, I'm weird,
Well,
I'm
think about
Canadian, I
this.
know.
While your brains are spinning, keep this one factor in mind. Think about how many millions, billions of dollars is raised for charities specifically from the biker community.
Yeah,
We're very generous.
that came off earlier in my head when you were talking about going down to Honduras and stuff. And I was like, they're probably doing stuff down there as well, like building a house or things like that. It popped off in my head that the local community down there is probably going to get a good benefit from it. Which, yeah, and I growing up, we used to have a rally at Greenwater Lake where I grew up. They were there every year. A
Yeah.
specific group would come in, and there'd be about 300 bikers there, and they would have a big meeting, and they locked the gates in the family tenting area, the group tenting area. They locked the gates so nobody else could come in, and they did their business. And then when they left, they bought from the grocery stores because you still got to
Mhm.
eat. And if you're on a
Mhm.
bike, it's limited. They went to the restaurants. Some of them went to the hotel for the showers if they didn't have campground showers. And it was just a huge boost to have people come into the community for 3 weeks and then go away. And it was fantastic. And 300
Here's
people
a
doesn't sound like much, but it's a lot of
Oh
money.
no, 300 people is a substantial amount of people. And of course, I like performing in front of more the merrier. I mean,
Yep,
but I will perform for 50 people if they're there to come see me. If there's 50,000 people, I don't care. Actually, the more the better, because with what we do, the more people we got to choose from, the better chances we got to put on a good show.
absolutely.
So this is my way of thinking, okay? And hopefully it will help some people. I've always been the person that treats people like rock stars, but I treat rock stars like people. And I've got a lot of rock star friends. Ted Nugent's one of my
Mm-hmm.
best friends. I love Ted. I was his narrator for his television show on the Outdoor Network. And as far as how April and I try to present ourselves, yes, we want to bring the communities together. Okay. We don't care if you're black, white, brown, upside down, gaze your way. That's okay. I don't care. I'm not going to tell you I haven't even thought about it a time or two, going out in Vegas, a little Mexican midget or something. But anyhow,
I'll pause that for a second. I'm allowed to stick my dink in anything I want to. You should be allowed to do whatever the hell you want to, too. Plain and simple. Leave me the hell
I
alone, and I'll leave you alone.
agree. But my point behind all that is as long as you are a kind human being,
Yes.
that's who we want to hang out with. And if you're a kind human being, I want to introduce you to this other kind human being that I just met earlier today. This lovely person. Y'all may become best friends. You know how many times that's happened in my career?
A lot.
Huh. You haven't. I'll give you the perfect example. There was the first time that I did the cruise, which was in 2019. Scared to death, petrified. There's a story behind that. So there's two ladies that I had up on stage. Okay. They didn't know each other. First time on the cruise. Now they're roommates. best friends. I hypnotized them both on stage. They became to know one another. They've been on the cruise ever since. And I walk on the ship, and the first thing they do is come find me in April and give us a hug. That to me is what we do is all about.
Yeah.
Is building them long-term friendships. Um, I, I'm not trying to really bring up politics here, but Donald Trump said one thing in an interview. He said, "I'm tired of people dying." Okay. I agree with that. I'm
Mhm.
tired of that shit. And I'm tired of all the fuss and hustle, but get along with everybody. If we can all pull together,
Mhm.
all of us, all around the world, we can be a one big happy family.
That's right.
You know, we could.
The fact
It's
is,
just, it's just how I think.
I will get political. I'm Canadian. So right now in Canada, there's a lot of Canadians going, well, screw the Americans. They're wanting to throw tariffs on us, right? And the Mexicans are doing the same thing. Well, the truth is whether both of our countries like it or not, we both need each other. You need our oil,
Yeah,
you need our water, you need power, you need our food. We only have 41 million people up here. So yeah, you could
right,
take us over, but then you're going to be doing the same thing that happened in Vietnam and Korea and all that stuff. You're going to have insurrection for the next 40 fucking years. So
right.
why bother? Why not just work together, be separate, but together? It,
Dude,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
right there with you. I am
yeah,
totally right there with you.
yeah,
I think, everybody should get along. We should all get along with each other. That's just my
yeah.
opinion.
There's no
And the
point
one
in
thing,
bombing people. There's no point in and the drugs. If somebody's bringing drugs up from Mexico or something, if fentanyl's really that big of an issue, crack down on the people actually doing it.
yeah. Well, here's
Very
what I tell
simple.
people. Here's another little thing. You know how if somebody gets shot, they're blaming the gun. We got to do gun
Yep.
control, this, that, and the other. You don't ban syringes because of heroin addicts.
Yep.
You ban heroin addicts.
Yep.
Okay. You don't blame the Buick that was the getaway car when they robbed the bank. You blame the bank robbers. You
Yep.
follow me?
Yep.
You see where I'm going here? So yeah, if we can find out where all that fentanyl is and who's making it and how it's being distributed, chop her dicks off, man.
Yep.
Now, if they got a big bag of weed, I can give you my address and tell you right where I live. Come on over.
There's a lot of things that should have been legalized 25 years ago. Anyway,
I totally agree with you, brother.
if it's natural, it's usually fine. Usually,
Well,
not
you
always.
know what? April's from Georgia. That's where we are in Georgia right now. And she says, God made dirt, and dirt don't hurt.
That's fair. You know what's funny about this? I was in Vegas like 2 weeks ago, and
Uh-huh.
I bought stuff in Vegas, and it's not very good.
No,
The quality of edibles you have in the U.S. is not as high quality as Canadian edibles. I will say that. Um,
you
now
need
that
my
I've been
address.
banned, hmm?
You need my address.
No, but so we've been on for 28 minutes.
I'm
I want
sorry.
to talk to you.
I can talk all day long. I apologize if I'm taking up too much time.
No, you're not. Usually these things go for about 30 to 40 minutes, somewhere in there. I
Yeah,
just wanted to let you know that you're aware of the
I'm
time.
good.
I do have a question for you,
Okay.
and it relates back to everything you've been speaking about. Maybe I'll just make the statement for you and you can agree with it or not.
Okay.
Do you think the majority of your career so far has come from just being a nice person and
Yes,
networking with other nice people?
I absolutely 100% would agree with that. Uh, Perception is reality. Okay. It's always going to be that way. And if people perceive you as being a dick without them finding out, I wasn't going to say anything,
No,
Jesse. I'm just, so
I'm,
no, when people, when people, the best way to describe it is for me is talk to me, introduce yourself. Let me introduce myself to you. Let's have a quick conversation. I can tell you in 2 minutes whether or not you and I are going to get along. Now, is it not because of the conversation that we're having? It's not about the words, but it's all about the energy that I'm getting from you. Mama, she's brilliant when it comes to meeting new people. And somebody walks up to us, she'll grab me by the arm and say, let's go. And
yeah,
then turn around and find out something wrong with them. they're just either stupid or they're not a nice person or they're not our people.
It gives
Okay.
you the ick.
Give you the ghoulies. So yes, being a nice person, being approachable, helping others, even if it's just with a smile, man. You know how many people have said to us, "Thank you for giving me a laugh today. I was having a bad day. Thank you for showing me that magic trick. You've made my day. I'm coming to your show. Oh my God, that's the greatest show I've ever seen. Thank you for inviting me." That kind of stuff is what keeps you going. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not trying to be arrogant, but everybody that has a working human brain, okay, the more pats on the back that you get, the further it's going to push you along. Now, for me, she calls me an attention whore. I said, well, you're half of that. So I lost 3 days after I said that. So I've got to be
Yeah, I
careful. What was I talking about? Shit. I forgot
I
what I was
don't
talking
know.
about.
We were talking about being nice. That's all I got.
We were just talking about being nice. We were talking about being nice. Fuck, I don't remember what I lost my mind.
So how long have you actually been in the
Those
business?
3 days are reoccurring right now.
So how long have you actually been doing hypnosis specifically? Because you've done other stuff previously to that. How long has it been?
Yeah. I started studying 2017.
Okay.
And 6 months later, in the backwoods of Kentucky at a redneck barbecue, drinking beer, just whatever, with a toothless woman, I hypnotized her. First time I'd ever hypnotized anybody. 6 months later, I went, okay, this shit worked. So the cruise, Daryl Worley was performing on it. We're moving up to 2019 now. I called the cruise, told him who I was, told him I was interested in, doing a couple of shows there.
Mm-hmm.
He said, do you have any video? I'm like, the only video I've got is people in the bar when I'm half drunk, just playing, hypnotizing people in a bar. Actually, more so practicing than playing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's all I had because I'd never done a show, never a hypnosis show, never.
Mm-hmm.
I sent him my stuff. 15 minutes later, he called and he said, you ever done this kind of thing before? Hell yeah, I have. I got this, dude. I know what I'm doing. I lied my ass off. Daryl Worley brought me up on stage. He's a big, country star, celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very good friend. I love Daryl and his family. He brings me up on stage, which kicks in my anxiety about 100% more than what it already was. And I thought my guts were going to fall out of my ears, dude. I was sweating. I'm like, what have I done? How am I going to get through this? Didn't think of anything. And what I had in my head, boom, knocked it out of the park. This will be my 4th year on the cruise.
That's fantastic. Here's the thing. Most successful hypnotists have that story. Most of the guys that are actually working have that story. I don't know if you know him, but Jeff Ronning had a book, The Modern Guide to Stage Hypnosis. I read that book. It taught you how to book a bar. I walked into the first bar. They said no. I walked into the second bar. No. I did 28 more. On the 30th one, he finally said, yes, we'll do a door split. Made $150 and did my first show. But here's the kicker to that. Because I had been mentoring under Jeff, or I had been reading his stuff, he said, submit press releases. So I was submitting press releases for this event. And on Boxing Day, I was interviewed on the largest radio station in the province, on the largest show, before I had hypnotized anybody. It was hilarious. Yeah.
Well, for me,
like
now, April's not far off when she calls me an attention whore. As entertainers, we need it. And if it wasn't for the energy we feel from our audiences, why would we be doing this if you don't feel good about it? I walk out on stage, that's the greatest feeling in the world. So it is our job as entertainers to give that feeling back to you while you're out there in the audience. And if you're a good hypnotist and a comedian and know how to command a crowd on stage, you're in like butter, dude.
Yeah.
You're in like butter. I find hypnosis to be very magical. You know, we talked earlier.
Yes.
I still get amazed during fractionation or when you sleep and they just fall right over. I cannot believe. Or, you know, you hypnotize someone in a bar and you bring them out of it, and people are like, "Oh my God, are they still hypnotized?" I'm like, "Hey, man." And then they fall over. I'm like, "Yep, pretty much."
Yep.
I find that to be extremely magical. And I thank God, for one, I thank God for putting me in the direction of hypnosis that brought me out of my depression, that introduced me to April, and now taking us all over the world doing shows and entertaining all these people.
Yep.
Thank God for it. And this path of hypnosis, I never dreamed, dude, that I'd be a hypnotist.
Yep.
I'm telling you, I never dreamed of it. Never dreamed, never even thought of it. Not even close to thinking of it. Now, jumping out of an airplane, going killing some deer, yeah, I was all about that. But, you know, I love being an entertainer, so I loved being on the radio, and I loved producing my videos and writing scripts and writing things that, you know, I'm a writer and a producer. I do all that kind of crazy shit. Never dreamed that I'd become a hypnotist, but at this moment, I thank God for it, for putting us in this direction. And I'm going to take it as far as I can. As a matter of fact, the good Lord is willing and the creek don't rise this year. I feel it in my heart that it's going to be our year to be on America's Got Talent. So whatever, anybody that's watching this or listening, and whatever God it is that you pray to, I don't care. But if you would say some prayers for us, you know, that would be awesome, because we really want to get on that program. And look, think about this, Jason. If I were able, or when I'm going to be on America's Got Talent, look what that's going to do to all the other hypnotists. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm maybe God wants me to be that one guy that goes out on stage and does what we do, not some of the stupid shit that some of those people do on there, but do what we do. And then everybody in our industry is going, their money's coming up.
Yep.
But you got to have that one person. Why can't I be that guy? There's a hypnotist, and I'm not going to tell you his name. I watched a video of him. I was watching videos of every hypnotist and NLP and everything I could think of, dude. I was watching them all. So if you say their name, yep, I've probably seen their video.
And so, by the way, you probably still do that, right?
I do all the time. You have no idea.
It never stops. I've been doing it 20 years, and I'm still like, what is going on?
So I'm on get caught in that tic-tac rabbit hole, dude. I'm sitting there watching all this. Oh, that's a pretty cool bit. I think I'm going to try that one. Then I'd forget what it was that he did anyway, and I'd go back and look at it.
Sorry, I interrupted.
I lost my train of thought again.
You were talking about a specific hypnotist doing stupid things.
Oh, yeah. Here's what he said. He was on a morning TV news show promoting his show. I think he was at a comedy club or something. I don't remember. The anchor asked him this specific question, and the video was old. So you're looking back, I want to say back in the 90s, back in 1900s. The anchor specifically asked him this question: who is the most famous hypnotist?
Me.
His reply, there's no such thing as a famous hypnotist. I'm glad he said that. You know why?
True.
Why can't I be that guy?
Yeah.
Why can't I be the only hypnotist or the first hypnotist to be on America's Got Talent?
The closest we have ever had to a famous hypnotist is Ravine.
Ravine, yes.
That is the closest we've ever had. And he wasn't famous in the US. He was famous all over Canada, though. And the closest we have now is Matt Hale out of Australia. They're both Australians, by the way. So here's the sad part about that. most hypnotists, there's probably only 100 of us actually making a living doing this as far as stage goes. The sad part about it is that for 60 years of our history, there was 12 people that were in charge of the entire industry, and who they trained and who they brought in. That was it. If you wanted to learn hypnosis, it was like learning wrestling. You had to get hazed into the damn thing and then hope they gave you gigs. Fuck that. Fuck that. Through conversations like this, we can be open, and there's no reason you can't. There is absolutely no reason that you can't be the first famous hypnotist, and I flippin' wish it for you. I really do.
Well, it's all...
It comes to us banding together.
Exactly. And becoming a hypnotist, I've learned a lot of things about the brain, the body, the energy, and the magnetism, and the law of attraction, and all that stuff. And I've learned a lot. Never thought that I would ever know any of this stuff. I'm a hillbilly, dude. I'm a country boy. But it's cool.
I'm from Saskatchewan. I grew up without running water. I know exactly how your life was.
So what I've learned about, dude, it's a great feeling to be able to make money on stage doing what we enjoy doing and doing what we love to do. And I'm not going to stop trying to become the best of the best. That's never going to stop. There's really no competition in the hypnosis world. I mean, the only thing that's really competitive is if you come up with a different bit that nobody's ever seen. I'm going to steal your shit. Feel free to steal mine. I don't care. We're all, the thing is we're all, when Anthony Gailey and I was talking about this the other day, every single one of us in our world, we're all doing the same shit.
Yep.
We're all saying the same things, all of us. So,
hotter, colder, colder. I'm sorry, but
dude, that's the first thing I do when I get them up there, man. I got to get them deep. Hotter. You're getting hotter, colder. Yeah. Oh, sleep. Oh my God. I wish I could get a mattress company to sponsor me and give me $100 for every time I say the word sleep on stage. And I'll make them piles of money selling mattresses. Absolutely. Trust me, I used to own 6 mattress stores. I know how to make it work.
Well, that's the thing. I think there's no reason you couldn't be famous. I really think that America's... I'm going to be honest. That's a gatekeeping show. I think there's ways to do it other ways.
I think so too. Hard to find, but I never stop. There may be people out there that can outperform me. Maybe. I doubt it, but maybe. But they'll never outwork me. All right. Yes, there are other avenues. I don't know what they are yet, but I'm not going to find out if I continue to keep searching and doing what I do. I'll stumble across it. Okay. But for our act, it is unique. It's different. I'm looking at America's Got Talent as a business tool. I have no intentions of winning. However, I believe that I can. Okay. With my personality and the things that I do up on stage, I believe I have, got a good shot at it. It's $1 million worth of advertising.
For free.
If I don't make a nickel, I won't make a nickel. Okay. $1 million, free advertising. Well, it's going to cost me to get there. But I'll take that advertising and I will run with it. I will milk it for everything it's worth. Everything. I will milk like I used to milk cows when I was back home in Kentucky and found out that it was a bull. So the hard way.
The hard way. A little bit saltier than normal.
There you go. Yeah. No pun intended, by the way.
So before I close this out, Tommy wanted to say, Tommy, if you're still here, thank you for commenting. He was saying that he's not alone in the constant amazement of, he's been doing this for 19 years and it still makes him go, oh, wow, when people go under. And it really does.
I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. And I will tell your people or anybody watching this, I am going to throw a shameless plug out there. If you have a venue, if you know a venue or any corporate events that would consider a biker hypnotist, please feel free to reach out to me. It's very simple, easy to get along with and get a hold of. Just go to the website, GaryMichaels.net. You'll see a link on there for some Rocka Vodka, which is the vodka that sponsors us. It's very, very, very good. So I wanted to throw that little shameless plug in there, if you don't mind. But
Absolutely.
listen, if there is something, as a matter of fact, Canada's Got Talent reached out to me too. They wanted me there. I sent them an email back and I never heard from them again. They ghosted me. So, but here's how I operate. Let's say, for example, that I do get booked in Canada somewhere or in your neck of the woods or somewhere close. I can't do it. Won't you call my buddy Jesse over here? See if he can do it for you. I do that for people all the time, and I don't want a damn thing in return except a thank you. That's all I care about. So,
the beauty of talking to professionals in this industry is that we all do that. That I do that. I just did that last week for a guy in Ohio. I'm not going to be in Ohio. It's a grad show. Here you go.
Sure.
I do it for Richard Cole. He's out in Ontario. I send him gigs every year. And over the years, no word of a lie, we've probably sent $60,000 in business over the last 20 years back and forth to each other. And that's worth more than the 10% you're going to get off the gig. He's one of my best friends in the world. Richard, if you're watching, fuck you. But being able to switch back and forth and not care about the cash. Yeah, if a person needs it, absolutely. But
sure.
But build those relationships and build the business instead of being a leech off of everybody else.
You know how many shows that April and I have done, and we do it every year. We're doing it in Daytona, okay? That I'm making no money, but it's a presence to be there, and it's a practice session. All it is. But you know how many places that I'm doing this year that I'm making some fat ass money? That's how it works. Yeah. And if all of us help each other, as we talked about earlier, we're going to splatter that $60,000 all year, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But yet I'm still making money on this gig. So whatever it is that you and I are back and forth with, that's just my play money.
Exactly. Here's a lead to you. Here's a lead to me. Here's a lead to Bob. And you make money, and you find the ethical people that aren't going to fuck up the business. I talked about the 12. That's why the 12 were like that, right? That held the business back. But really, we are at a point now where if we choose to as an industry, we can start to go viral with this. We can actually be where magic is in the limelight. There's a lot more magicians making a lot more money than there is hypnotists making money. And that's the sad truth.
I want to be, this is just how I think, how I operate. I'm going to be that guy that's going to make as much money as some of those famous magicians. And I know a lot of them, okay, personally. I know David Blaine. I know Chris Angel, Matt King. I can go on and on. I can drop names all day long. Wonderful people. But as a hypnotist, doing what they accomplished, even the hypnotist in Vegas, no, they did not. They had a regular gig. Sure, that's awesome. Me personally, I want to perform in Vegas, but I also want to travel the world and do all this other stuff. Hell, sign me up a contract at the Hard Rock Cafe, and I'll do every fucking one of them in the world. You know, you've got to have that kind of mindset. So, all that being said, I'm going to be that guy. Mark my words. How am I going to do it? Ain't figured that part out yet. But you know what? You're not supposed to. The universe is going to take it over. And I'm just going to keep doing what we're doing, entertaining people, giving people something. Let them forget about life for a couple of minutes and have some laughs. And I'm going to do that through the magic of hypnosis and the comedy and the magic and the stupid shit that I do on stage, man.
You have no idea how much I've enjoyed this talk.
Well, thank you, man. We should do this more often. Hell, we should start our own little hypnosis thing.
I'm trying to do this with as many hypnotists as possible. So I'll talk to you when we end the stream. But everybody who's watching, I want to say thank you. Gary Michaels, give me your website one more time.
It's GaryMichaels.net. You can find me on all of the socials, and all you got to do there is look up Gary Michaels Hypnotist, and it'll pop up. If you see me on OnlyFans, mind your business, because I needed the money, okay?
Hey, You got to make money somehow. Um, on that note, I will warn you, you may get friended and talked to, because the podcast is about mentorship, and
Sure.
other people might have questions for you. You're not allowed to steal. Here's the thing about it. I'm going to end it with this. You are not allowed to steal his trademark stuff. So if you want to become a biker hypnotist, you need to talk to him first. Don't steal his shit. Okay?
You know
Don't
what?
be a douchebag,
That's
or
the
people will treat you
biggest
like
form of flattery. That's the biggest form of flattery right there, man.
It's not. It's not. Even if you don't trademark it, we need to make our own stuff sometimes. We do.
True.
We do all use the same skits, but being us is what gives us
It's
personality.
it's the presentations, dude.
Yes.
It's all about presentation.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, sixfigurentertainer.com, and I'm glad, Gary, you're going to be part of a commercial now.
Awesome.
Sixfigurentertainer.com. Believe it or not, I've actually got courses ready over the Christmas break. There's 4 courses in there. There's phone sales and how to be confident on the phone. There is the holiday party gig machine, which is what I use to book 30 grand in holiday parties. And there's also a testimonial tap out course, which teaches how to use testimonials in your marketing to actually get the clients you want. That's it. Everybody, sixfigurentertainer.com. We're closing this down. I'll see you later.